Overcoming Strength, and today I want to go over flexibility, the cumulative injury cycle, and the three forms of flexibility in the basic sense. We're not going to really go over them too much. I'll just show you how to, not show you, but tell you how to do them and tell you the benefits of them. So let's go over what flexibility is. Now, flexibility is the ability to provide extensibility to soft tissue or in the soft tissue muscle and allow it to move through the full range of motion. Now that sounds like a lot, and that kind of is a lot. You know, once you think about it, that's a couple big words and a lot of shit like that. But simply put, flexibility is the ability to be able to stretch throughout the full range of motion. So basically, if I'm trying to do a quadricep pull with my foot in the back, I want to be able to put the quad all the way up, and then keeping the hip flexor will probably be tight, but we'll go into that deeper right now. But you know, it's just being able to provide or produce the right amount of flexibility for the movement that you're trying to do. Now, as a beginner, flexibility goes to the waist side. Now, what I mean by that is, once you step foot in the gym and you just come to the realization that you need to go into the gym, the last thing you really don't think about is flexibility and how much it does play a role in your performance development and in your ability to produce force and the right amount of force and all this good stuff. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that flexibility is fucking key, and people fucking neglect the shit out of it because it isn't lifting weights. Now, I understand that. You know, back in the day I used to think that all the time, that I wouldn't really worry about flexibility, but now it's gotten to the point where I'm in the gym early and I'll warm up for about 30 to 40 minutes. That's kind of excessive, but yeah, I'll self-myofascial release and all that stuff. And basically what that leads us into is the three stages of flexibility that you kind of need to develop to get an adequate amount of flexibility into your regimen, and basically allowing yourself as a lifter or as a lifter that's trying to pursue something big, you definitely need flexibility, and going over these three flexibility continuums and kind of going at them the right way will allow you to develop yourself as a lifter. So the first one we'll go over is corrective flexibility. Now, corrective flexibility is something that you do as a beginner. You know, it's kind of like the whole novice, intermediate, advanced type deal, just simplified. You know, you're just stretching. So corrective, sorry, I was about to say active, but corrective flexibility is self-myofascial release, and you're going to pair it with static stretching. Now, self-myofascial release is a pretty big word, and basically what self-myofascial release is, it's a foam roller. So if you ever step foot into a gym, and this is probably your first time stepping foot into a gym, if it is, you're going to see this cylinder type deal, this black foam roll looking thingamajigger. I have one here, easy-go-lucky, but this shit sucks. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate how to do self-myofascial release today, but just know that this bad boy hurts like hell. Now, we're going over corrective flexibility. So, you're going to use that bad boy with static stretching for the warm-up or for your pre-workout regimen. So, you're basically, for corrective flexibility, it's not about, you know, getting in and getting out. You got to really take your time, learn how to do the flexibility movements, the regimens, the stretches, all that good shit. You're going to have to learn how to do all that stuff so that you can build yourself a good body, and allowing proper flexibility will allow for that. So that's the first one. Now we'll go to the second one, which will be active flexibility. Now, active flexibility is something that is done later on. This is more of an intermediate type phase, or you know, you could use this for, you know, if you're doing if your trainer is training you and he's NASM certified, he'll probably be doing stages 2, 3, and 4 on this. if he's even following that program. But basically, this is for when you're already starting to try and build some mass on you, trying to build some muscle. That's one thing that will probably happen. You're probably going to try and build some strength, and you're probably going to try and build some maximal strength. Now, or some strength endurance. So you're going to build strength endurance first, you'll build hypertrophy second, third, and then you'll build maximal strength fourth. But we're not going to dive into that today. We're just going to keep it really simple, and we're going to go over active flexibility right now. So active flexibility is basically self-myofascial release, that asshole, and then this asshole, and then active isolation or active isolated stretching, which is more movement. There's more of a movement-oriented type deal to it, but it allows for, this whole deal will allow for extensibility within the soft tissue muscle. It will allow for proper movement, but not really any craziness. You know, you're not doing a full skip or sprint or anything like that. You're more or less just taking it slow, but still trying to work the muscle and get a decent stretch. That's active isolation stretching. You're gonna follow myofascial release with active isolation stretches. Sorry, I stutter a little bit, so if I do, sorry. Still kind of getting used to it. But so the third one that we'll go over is functional flexibility. Now, functional flexibility has many names to it. It's more specific, if you'd like. I've even heard dynamic, if you'd like to. Now, functional flexibility is self-myofascial release. There's a pattern. I mean, you're going to self-myofascial release the shit out of yourself. Now, what happens, let's break that down. Let's kind of cut the functional flexibility really quick and go over what happens when you do self-myofascial release or foam rolling. You're gonna foam roll your overactive muscles. So if you have a knot or anything like that, or you're really tight in your hamstrings, you're going to want to foam roll your hamstrings towards your heart. You have to think about it this way. The blood will always be going towards your heart, coming out. So you want to provide the blood to allow it to go towards your heart. So if I'm foam rolling my hamstrings and my legs are up, so if this is the foam roll and my legs are here, I'm going downwards with my body as the foam roller goes towards my heart. Okay, so you want to be able to provide blood back up towards the heart whenever it comes to foam rolling. Now, whenever you do foam rolling, you want to hold the seconds for about 30 seconds. You want to hold that pain and relax your muscles to allow for proper deep tissue massaging or deep tissue torture, basically, because that shit's going to hurt like hell. But flexibility. Now, functional flexibility, if I didn't go over it, you're going to do this towards the tail end of the NASM OPT model, or you're going to do this with an athlete who has gone through a couple periodization programs, and their other coaches have provided them with in-depth flexibility regimens to allow them to properly enhance their development whenever it comes to their sport. So we're done with that. We've gone over the functional flexibility, the active, and the static or corrective, flexibility. Now we're going to go over the cumulative injury cycle. I'm not going to go too far in depth because I don't have that much battery, and I need to buy some batteries. So the cumulative injury cycle, I'll go over the stages. I won't go too in depth with them, but I'll make a follow-up video to talk more about them. So I'll write the stages for you, and then if you'd like, you can look them up, or you can wait for the following video. It'll come out really soon. But let's go over the first stages and all the other stages. So there is normally, pretty sure there's 6 stages. Just looked at it. There's 6 stages. Excuse me. The first stage will always be tissue trauma. So first, tissue trauma. See, this could occur from anything from daily schedule, daily work regimen, anything. A lot of the world is an office job type of employee, so that can definitely hinder your effects whenever it comes to training. You probably have overactive muscles, so that's where the self-myofascial release comes into play, and learning how to be flexible comes into play. So that's also where tissue trauma comes into play, because your body has adapted to that, and your body has adapted to either poor postural function, dysfunctional movements, patterns. Well, dysfunctional movement patterns because of whatever it is that you might be doing. You might be doing it on the regular basis. Like, for instance, myself, I sometimes sit. Whenever I'm driving my car, I'm left-handed, so my hand on the steering wheel, and I'm more or less slouched over, leaning. So my obliques can get tight, my hip flexors can get tighter on this right side, and I'm also at a desk most of the day, so my hip flexors are always tight. So if you are at a desk most of the day, it's best to kind of get up every hour, stand up, maybe go for a walk, take a jog. You know, maybe even every 30 minutes to allow, not take a jog, but take a walk, you know, get some fresh air. It's good to do all that stuff because you don't want to enhance postural dysfunction, enhance poor posture, enhance muscular dysfunction, and enhance movement pattern dysfunction. You don't want to do that because that can cause tissue trauma, especially whenever you're first starting working out. If you don't go through flexibility the correct way, tissue trauma could happen. So what happens after tissue trauma is your body tries to repair itself. Your body is one whole unit, so when there's something that happens, your body immediately tries to repair itself, and what that causes is inflammation within the tissue or within the site of the problem. So inflammation. Now, inflammation is normally what it sounds like. You know, it's a little bit more of a mass, it's a little bit bigger, and that follows up to muscle spasms. Excuse me, don't mean to think about it, but it follows up with muscle spasms. Now, muscle spasms, if you ever get the twitching feeling in your muscles, that's a muscle spasm. Muscle spasms can cause, they will be caused by the inflammation because of the repairing process of your muscles. They'll try to repair it, and that can cause muscle spasms. Now, muscle spasms can be a pretty bad, can be a huge key into realizing that you kind of have a dysfunctional movement pattern, and you better watch out for those because they could come. I mean, some of them hurt, but they don't hurt too bad. But we'll just go over. I'm not going to try and go too far in depth. So we'll put up muscle spasm or spasms. So we'll just put muscle spasms. Sorry. Number 4. Okay, so number 4 will be adhesions, or commonly known as knots. So adhesions or knots. Number 5 will be the big one, altered neuromuscular control. And the last one will be muscular imbalance. So this is a big one too. I have a couple of these, which kind of sucks, but in due time they will be alleviated. Zach Man from Dynamic Strength, and it's been a pleasure going over flexibility and the short and brief cumulative injury cycle and the 3 phases of flexibility that you need to go through